We had a look at rotate and translate thus far to rotate or remove the element. We also got two other ways of transforming an element. For that, let's go to the customers page. There, we got our nice customer images, and I want to transform these images too. For that, I'll go into my customers file, and in this customers CSS file, I want to transform the image container, which should transform the image together with itself. So here, to the testimonial image container, I'll also add the transform property. Now we saw that we can use the rotate and translate functions, but now I actually want to skew it. So let's use the skew function for that. The skew function also allows you to skew an element on the x or y axis. But here, if you just use the skew function like this, and you only enter one value, you're effectively also just skewing on the x-axis. So it's the same as skew x. Now what does this mean to begin with? Let's start by entering both and see how it affects the container. Let's just start with skew x and save that and reload. And now you see that our image is skewed to the left. So it's like someone pulled our corners and pulled them to the left. This is the case for the image container and the image itself. If we now also specify skew y, let's say also 20 degrees here, and please note you enter degrees here as a value, not pixel or something like that. It's degrees. And now you reload. Now it's also skewed to on the y-axis. This becomes even clearer if I temporarily remove skew x here. Now you can see what happened. It's as someone pulled the corners up a bit. So the top left corner got pulled up a bit and the bottom left corner got pulled up a bit. So for skew x, someone pulled it to the left, so to say. For skew y, someone pulls it up. And if you enter negative values, it would be pulled to the right or pulled down. And please note, only one corner gets pulled, so to say, so the element transforms itself into a diamond form, into a rhombus. Now, I don't want to use skew y here. I want to use skew x. And we can also use just skew here. If we only enter one value, that'll be the x value. We could enter a y value here too, but I just want to have this, well, horizontal skewness. So now this is effectively the effect I want to have. However, the image looks really strange if it's skewed like this. It would be great if the container gets skewed, but the image actually stays the way it is. Now, to do that, we can go to the testimonial image selector, which targets the image itself. And there we can also enter transform and enter skew minus 20 degree. So with that, we're basically offsetting the skewness of the container. If we do that and we reload, now we can see the image does not get skewed, or basically it does get skewed, but we skew it in the opposite direction, and hence we reset the skewness applied by the container. But of course, this is not the final look we want to have. To get that final look, we need to do at least two more things. First of all, not related to the transformation, but often used along with it, let's use overflow hidden again on the testimonial image container. This is applied to ensure that the parts where the image goes outside of the container now are cropped. So if I reload, it looks better, but we have this white space in the bottom right corner. And for the bottom image, we got a white space on both corners actually. Well, it's the same for the top image, I guess. So what we can do here is we can increase the size of the image. So let's go back to our image transformation function, where we have skewness of minus 20 degree. And let's dive into the last transformation function we have. We saw rotate, translate, and skew. Now let's have a look at scale. Scale again allows you to scale the image on 3 axes. We'll dive into Z in the 3D transformations part. X allows you to basically increase the width of the image, and Y allows you to increase the height. So here we enter a normal integer value, so something like 2. This means it is twice the normal size. So if we save that and we reload, now it's strongly distorted because we stretch it on the x-axis. This is what scale effectively does. It doesn't keep the aspect ratio. So therefore, we should also set scale y, and we can set both if we just enter scale. Scale with just one value scales it on both axes, so on the x and on the y axis. So if we enter scale 2 like this, now this looks better. It's a bit too big though, so let's maybe just use 1.2 as a factor. 1, of course, would be the default, so we don't see an effect there. And we can also shrink it with 0.5 and so on. But let's use 1.2 here as a scaled as factor. And now this looks almost good, just a tiny bit to go. So maybe 1.4 is what we're looking for. And now this looks good in my opinion. Now we can see that our images look good and they are now in their newly shaped diamond form. Now, one other thing I want to do is I want to change the width of this container. I want to change it from the 100% we have here to just 60%, let's say. Now, if we reload on mobile view, we, can see that new shape a bit nicer, a bit easier. It looks nicer now, in my opinion. And with that, we applied our transformations to the images on the customers page too. And now with that, more importantly, we also learned about skew and scale.